Here are today's top stories. House lawmakers assure there is no pork barrel implemented in next year's national budget. A Manila Regional Trial Court clears 4 personalities in the DOJ petition declaring the CPP and PA as terrorists. Jeepney operators in Davao City are set to receive fuel subsidies provided through the train law. And Barangay Ginebra beat San Miguel Beer in Game 6 to win the PBA Commissioner's Cup Championship. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. House lawmakers have assured that no pork barrel or lump sum funds are included in the 2019 national budget. This after Senator Panfilo Lacson claims that Happy Pork Barrel Days may possibly return under the leadership of Speaker Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Majority Leader Rolando Andaya Jr. says the lower chamber would be observant of the Supreme Court ruling which declared as unconstitutional the Priority Development Assistance Fund or PDAF or pork barrel. He says the budgeting process they will observe will no longer be different from the process adopted by the Senate. Meanwhile, Deputy Speaker Fredenil Castro described Lacson's statement about the return of pork barrel as speculative and convenient guesswork, noting that it is bereft of any legal and factual basis. Lacson also sounded the alarm against the massive mangling of the National Expenditure Program following Arroyo's pronouncement that all congressmen will receive allocations for their respective districts. Arroyo said she will not give zero budget to lawmakers who are critical of the administration. The Philippine economy continues to perform well despite a slight slowdown in some sectors after posting a 6% growth in the second quarter of 2018. More on this from Maricor Zapata.
The Philippines remains one of Asia's best-performing economies. The National Economic Development Authority said the Philippine economy expanded by 6% in the second quarter of 2018, the third biggest growth in the region. NEDA Secretary Ernesto Pernia said the April to June growth rate is just a bit behind Vietnam's 6.8% and China's 6.7% growth and ahead of Indonesia's 5.3%. Pernia, however, said the Philippines' second quarter growth rate was still less than what the country hopes for. Pernia attributed the slowdown partly to policy decisions that are, however, expected to promote sustainable and resilient development. He cited the temporary closure of Boracay Island from April to October and the slowdown in the mining and quarrying sector. The gross domestic product growth for the first 6 months of the year reached 6.3%, while the economy grew 6.6% in January to March this year. Pernia said the economy would have to expand by at least 7.7% in the second semester to attain the country's 7 to 8% growth goal for 2018. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricor Zapata.
The Department of Education will be making the necessary adjustments to its programs after receiving a lower budget for next year. Education Undersecretary Annalyn Sevilla assured the public, particularly students and teachers, that the given budget for 2019 will be enough. 4 programs received higher allocations next year. These include the operation of schools, voucher program for senior high school, voucher program for non-DepEd ed public schools, and repair and rehabilitation of school buildings and classrooms. Meanwhile, the budget for other programs including Indigenous Peoples Education, campus journalism, and DepEd computerization have decreased. DepEd budget for next year is 527 billion pesos, lower than the 579 billion budget for 2018. Despite this, the education has the highest budget compared to all other sectors for the next fiscal year, with a 659.3 billion peso cash-based appropriation. The Philippines is preparing for the visit of Chinese President Xi Jinping late this year, with various agreements expected to be made between both countries. More on this from Rom Dulfo.
The country is looking forward to the visit of Chinese President Xi Jinping to the Philippines within 2018. The invitation was extended by the Philippine side when President Rodrigo Duterte and President Xi first met. Foreign Affairs Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano said the Chinese side accepted right away and that this year will be the better date for the trip. Cayetano is positive that the visit of Chinese President Xi Jinping in the country would merit a lot of agreement in different fields of cooperation. President Duterte first visited China in October 2016 at the invitation of Xi. He then returned to Beijing in May 2017 to attend the Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation. In April, the president attended the Boao Forum in Asia in Hainan province. Xi, meanwhile, skipped the ASEAN summit in Manila last year. He was represented by Chinese Premier Li Keqiang. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
President Rodrigo Duterte has instructed the Department of Justice to review a lease contract that Nayong Filipino Foundation Incorporated has entered into with Landing Resorts Philippines Development Corporation. Duterte earlier fired the entire members of the NPF board and management due to a lease deal which he called gravely disadvantageous to the government. Under the lease contract, Landing Resorts, a subsidiary of Hong Kong's Landing International Development Limited, will reportedly develop a $1.5 billion casino resort in Entertainment City in Parañaque City. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said Duterte told the cabinet members that public bidding should have been made since the leisure complex is not a project under the Philippine Economic Zone Authority. He also reiterated the president's opposition to the development of casinos. Roque said he is expecting new Ombudsman Samuel Martires to act on the complaints of the NPF. The Interagency Task Force on Federalism intends to campaign for the shift to a federal government as soon as possible. Presidential Communications Operations Office Secretary Martin Andanar says they have selected the spokespersons for federalism, which they will reveal this week. Among the promotional activities being prepared are the airing of commercials along with an information campaign. PCOO will tap to the kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas to help in the said campaign. Andanar adds that they are willing to accept volunteers in campaigning for federalism. Still to come, a Manila Regional Trial Court clears 4 personalities in the DOJ petition declaring the CPP-NPA as terrorists. Jeepney operators in Davao City are set to receive fuel subsidies provided through the train law. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
This is Secretary Martin Andanar, and you're watching.
Today we are signing a very important memorandum of agreement between the Philippine News Agency and in Hungarian.
Our common goal is to get more and more information about each other's country, because I'd like to see when the Hungarian people can show where is the Philippines.
By sharing best practices, information, to expand the reach of the Philippine news and information.
The memorandum of agreement also provides for exchanges of visits from journalists, technicians, news photographers, and other media practitioners.
A Manila court has cleared 4 names tagged by the Department of Justice for having alleged ties with the Communist Party of the Philippines and the New People's Army. Former Bayan Muna Representative Satur Ocampo, National Democratic Front of the Philippines consultant Rafael Bailosis, UN Special Rapporteur Victoria Tauli Corpus, and Jose Melencio Molintas were declared non-parties to the DOJ petition seeking to declare the CPP-NPA as terrorist groups. The Manila Regional Trial Court Branch 19 ruled that the petition is against the CPP-NPA as entities and not against its individual members. The 4 have already denied any links with the rebel groups. However, the court has refused to junk the DOJ petition itself. The DOJ, meanwhile, says the petition to tag the CPP-NPA as terrorist stays despite the clearing of the suspected personalities. The Department of Trade and Industry seeks to increase importation and lowering their tariff to counter the rising inflation rate. More on this from Miguel Hill.
Increasing the supply of goods through importation coupled with the lowering of tariffs is seen as the solution to address rising inflation. Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez said the government is open to importing goods in short supply so as to hold back price spikes, and that the Department of Agriculture agreed to import rice, sugar, fish, and vegetables. According to Lopez, the importation should be open to all players, and that shifting from quota system to tariffication will boost the supply of goods in the market. A 5% uniform tariff in some agricultural products are also seen to help in the productivity of farmers. July inflation hit a 5-year high of 5.7%, driven by the 7.1% inflation in food and non-alcoholic beverage index. Meanwhile, consumer advocate group Laban Consumer Incorporated proposes a moratorium on any increases in the prices of goods covered by suggested retail prices until the end of March 2019. Pressures on demand and supply of basic necessities and prime commodities during the Burr months are expected to trigger another round of price increases. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
The 5.7% inflation uptick in July did not catch government by surprise, as it was still within the forecasted range. Finance Assistant Secretary Tony Lambino said the rate was within the 5.8% forecast of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, or BSP. He said the 5.7% is a year-on-year comparison of prices to those of last year. He adds that the economic team has pushed anew for the passage of rice tariffication, as a productive rice sector is seen to bring inflation down. Lambino, meanwhile, says the inflation rate is projected to go down towards the end of the year by 4 to 4.5%.
Projection of the whole economic team that inflation rate will start downtrending toward the end of the year. But still, the estimate of Bangko Sentral, and Bangko Sentral is 2.4% target, but the DBCC has estimated that inflation for the year will be 4 to 4.5%. We are now at 4.5% now year to date. But if there is a tapering off, then we will be well within that estimate. More importantly, the economic team is confident that we will be within BSP target in 2019.
Provincial leaders in Bulacan are fully supporting the road network expansion plans of the North Luzon Expressway and Department of Public Works and Highways. The proposed improvements include the new NLEX access road via Tambubong, a new Bocaue interchange bypass, the expansion of the Bocaue interchange ramps, development of the full Balagtas interchange, and the opening of a direct access road within the Ciudad de Victoria leading to Governor Halili Avenue in Santa Maria, Bulacan. A new access road will also be built from Governor F. Halili Avenue in Barangay Turo to the southbound portion near the Bocaue Toll Plaza. The Balagtas interchange, on the other hand, will also get a boost with the construction of new northbound and southbound access roads. Based on the project proposals, the road network improvements will help alleviate heavy traffic conditions at the current Bocaue interchange and provide new and alternative routes. Jeepney operators in Davao City are set to receive fuel subsidy this month. The subsidy is part of the Pantawid Pasada program made possible through the train law. Qualified and legitimate PUJ operators will receive 5,000 pesos from the Land Bank of the Philippines. The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, has recorded about 4,000 jeepney operators in the city. The LTFRB reminds beneficiaries to use fuel subsidy solely for refueling and not for other expenses. Up next, the PNP says erring cops facing charges will no longer be redeployed to Mindanao. Barangay Ginebra beat San Miguel Beer in Game 6 to win the PBA Commissioner's Cup Championship. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
sumailalim ang mahigit na 40 leader ng mga internally displaced person ng Sarimanok Tent City Site 1 and 2 sa isang pagsasanay na pinangunahan ng Office of the Civil Defense or OCD, United Nations Population Fund o UNFPA at International Organization for Migration IOM. Layunin ng training na magbigay ng kaalaman at kasanayan sa mga IDP ukol sa disaster risk reduction management, child protection and gender-based violence at camp coordination and camp management. Hinati sa 3 bahagi ang pagsasanay. Sa unang bahagi, pinangunahan ng OCD ang pagsasanay ng mga kaalaman kung ano ang gagawin sa panahon ng mga kalamidad at kung paano magbigay ng mga pangunahing lunas sa mga nangangailangan sa oras ng sakuna. Sa pangunguna ng UNFPA, itinuro ang konsepto, mga sanhi, mga resulta at mga pamamaraan upang maiwasan ang pagkakaroon ng gender-based violence at ang iba't ibang mekanismo upang maprotektahan ang mga kababaihan at mga bata. Ibinahagi rin ng mga IDP ang ukol sa Republic Act 9262 o Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children Act of 2004, kung saan itinalakay ang mga karapatan ng mga kababaihan at mga bata upang maging ligtas sa anumang pananakit o karahasan. Nagkaroon din ng pagbabahagi ng kaalaman ang IOM ukol sa pagkakaroon ng epektibong koordinasyon ng mga IDP leader sa mga camp manager at ukol sa mga pamamaraan para sa pamamalakad sa evacuation site. Nagbahagi naman ng mga suhestyon ang mga IDP para sa pagpapabuti sa kanilang kalagayan sa kanilang tirahan. Nagbigay daan din ang training upang maipaalam ng mga IDP ang kanilang mga hinanaing o mga pangangailangan sa kanilang pamumuhay sa evacuation site. Kasama si Lou Antonio para sa Bayan, Sweet Lukman, Philippine Information Agency.
The latest batch of erring policemen presented before President Duterte will no longer be reassigned to Mindanao. PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde says they will speed up the resolution of cases filed against the cops so that they could be penalized or even dismissed from service immediately. Over 100 cops, including those from Regions 3 and 4, are facing administrative and criminal cases. The first batch of policemen scolded by the president under former PNP Chief Ronald Bato de la Rosa were sent to Mindanao to fight terrorists. 37 former NPA guerrillas and supporters take their oath of allegiance to the government after surrendering this August. The first batch of 14 surrenderers from Ifugao who called themselves Militia ng Bayan presented themselves and handed over to the military an M16 rifle. A second batch appeared later in the week. The left-leaning surrenderers also had their oath of allegiance to the government and denounced their former groups in Sagada Mountain Province. The surrenderers came out as government soldiers stationed in Cordillera from the 54th Infantry Battalion held peace caravans in those areas. The peace caravans were aimed at bringing various government services to the communities, especially in far-flung areas. The surrenderers would receive immediate assistance, reintegration assistance, and remuneration for the surrendered firearm. Barangay Ginebra is back as the PBA Commissioner's Cup champion after 21 years. The barangay finally got their first title in the post-Robert Jaworski era, edging the San Miguel Beermen 93-77 in Game 6 of the finals. Ginebra used a third-quarter blast to pull away for good from the San Miguel Beermen, which lost the best-of-7 series in its title defense. Justin Brownlee exploded in the second half and finished with 31 points, 19 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 blocks, and 2 steals to lead the barangay. Ginebra last won the Commissioner's Cup Championship as the Gordon Gin Boars with Jaworski as head coach. Junmar Fajardo made 29 points, 15 rebounds, and 1 steal for the Beermen, which lost a chance to go two-thirds complete in their quest for a Grand Slam. The Department of Energy launched its campaign forum on saving and using less energy for residents in Albay. More on this from Janice Cate.
The Department of Energy conducted its E-Power Mo campaign forum in Albay to inform consumers about saving energy under the current administration's energy policy. PIA Regional Officer Benny Recebido says the multi-sectoral forum aims to empower consumers by giving them a sense of ownership and responsibility when it comes to their supply needs. E-Power Mo aims to raise awareness on energy roadmap and policies designed to empower the consumers. Meanwhile, the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines tackled its role in the industry, as well as the projects it implemented in Luzon and their impact in Albay. The Albay Power and Energy Corporation presented the Magna Carta for residential electricity consumers with discussions on getting to know power bills and electricity consumption. DOE also aims to raise awareness on expanding energy supply options and increasing the number of consumers who use different alternative sources of energy. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Here's another look at today's top stories. House lawmakers assure there is no pork barrel implemented in next year's national budget. A Manila Regional Trial Court clears 4 personalities in the DOJ petition declaring the CPP-NPA as terrorists. Jeepney operators in Davao City are set to receive fuel subsidies provided through the train law. And Barangay Ginebra beat San Miguel Beer in Game 6 to win the PBA Commissioner's Cup Championship. Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day.